Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Ruhl here, and today we're going to learn how to make a really cool 3D pop-out landscape. Ooh, complete with tiny houses and big houses. Alright, you ready? Let's get started. Hopefully, at this point, you have a green paper and a white paper. We need the green paper to start with. I want you to turn it so that it is horizontal. That's what we call a paper going long ways. If your paper is up and down like this, that is vertical. It's a good direction, but it's not what we want today. We want horizontal. Once your paper is horizontal, I would like you to fold it in half. When I fold my papers in half, I like to use my thumb, and I'll put it on my table, and I'll run my other paper over to it, and that's how I know it's lined up. Now I'm going to hold one side with one hand, and I'm going to crease my edge down with the other hand. When you're done, it should look like a greeting card. Alright, next step. I'm going to fold this edge right here, and I'm going to make it touch this edge over here. So I'm going to bend my paper back. I'm going to use my finger again, my little thumb trick. I'm going to hold it in place and really crease it down. That'll be important later. Bing, bing, bing. So we've got one flap folded. After you fold the first flap, you're going to flip your whole paper over, and you're going to do the same thing. So we're going to take this edge and make it kiss this edge over here. So we're going to take it, we're going to make it come over here. I'm going to line it up with my finger, and then I'm going to use my hand and squish it down. If you have folded correctly, it should look like the letter M or the letter W. If yours doesn't look this way, you can raise your hand and someone will help you. Alright, next step. We are going to take this and we are going to draw a line and cut it, and that's eventually going to become our hills and mountains in our landscape. So here's what we got to do for that. We're going to open her up. I know, Mrs. Ruhl, we just folded it. Now we're unfolding it. I know, I'm sorry. Take a pencil or a marker or whatever you've got. Actually, I would recommend a pencil. A marker, probably not the best bet. So you're going to take your pencil, maybe a colored pencil, and somewhere over towards the top, might be here or here or here, I want you to make a dot. Then you're going to come over to the other side, and somewhere towards the bottom, might be here or here or here, you're going to make another dot. And now you're going to draw a line from the dot that you made on one side to the dot that you made on another side. You could go super simple and just do a straight diagonal line. You could add some curvies or some zigzags. Whatever line you draw is eventually going to become the line of your mountains. So for example, your line might look something like this. There's my line. And once you are done, you are going to cut it out. Whenever you are done cutting, you're going to end up having two pieces. Here's one I pre-cut earlier. So you can see they used to fit together like this, but then I cut it up and now I have two. I also had some leftover pencil marks from when I drew. If you don't like those, you can erase them. Before you go to the trouble of erasing, you'll want to see which piece you're going to use for your project. And to do that, you're going to fold your paper back up. If you creased your paper really well, your paper will remember the shape that it was in. It's easier if you look at it from the top, too. So here's my paper. Remember, we folded it in half. And then this piece wants to go that way, so I'm going to bend it that way. And this piece wants to go this way, so I'm going to bend it this way. And here is one hill option for me. So again, this is supposed to look like there are hills or mountains going up our paper. So here are my two options. They're pretty much the same. I erased most of my pencil marks on this one, so I'm going to use this guy. Now you'll see on some of my other examples, I have some white peeking out, and I colored my sky with that. Hopefully, you also got a white paper. It should, hopefully if I cut them right, line up so that there isn't too much white peeking out. If there's a lot of white peeking out, you can feel free to cut it off. But what we're going to do is we're going to flip our green piece of paper over. And on the whole big section, we're going to add some glue. Glue, 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 glue. And I'm rolling my glue back down and putting my lid on so it doesn't dry out. And since I know this isn't perfectly lined up, there's going to be some extra white. I'm going to line it up on this edge over here. So I'm lining it up on this edge, and I've lined it up at the bottom too. Now I'm going to smoosh it down. Smish, 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 smish. Once your paper is nice and glued down, I want you to think about how much white space you want at the top. You could have just a little peeking out, or if I left it like this, I would have a bunch of white peeking out. Either way is fine. It is up to you. I think I'm going to cut my sky right here. And then since I had some extra white peeking out, I'm going to cut this out too. I want to make sure I don't cut any of my hills, so I'm actually going to open this bad boy up, and I'm going to cut this little tiny piece of white off. And if it's not perfect, if there's some white peeking out when you're done, that's okay. The important thing is that you're trying your best. Ta-da! So, I have mountains, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have sky at the top. Let's talk coloring. Of course, you have to color your sky at the top. You don't just want white sky peeking out. On this one, I just added a simple sun with a couple different colors. On this one, though, I added a blue sky and some storm clouds. You can make your sky literally however you want. It might be a sunset with a bunch of different colors. It might be a sunrise. You might want to put some zigzag lightning in the sky and some storm clouds. It is completely up to you. Whenever you're done with your sky, then you're going to move on to your grass. If we just left this plain green, it would be pretty boring. So on this one, I took a crayon green that was darker than the light green of my paper, and I colored very lightly. And then I put some pattern designs on top. On this one, it was kind of a darker green. I just took some different colored crayons, and I made different designs. It is up to you. So you can color lightly like this, you can add patterns, you could do kind of a combination of the two, or you could color your grass however you want. I have made some patterns for you guys, so these are some ideas if you'd like to fill some of your spaces with them. And I'll pause here for a second to let you guys color your sky and your hills. Alright, now that we've done our coloring, let's talk about filling up our mountains, filling up our landscape. The whole big point of this project is to try and get you guys to understand something called scale. So scale means that when stuff is close to you, it gets really big, and when stuff is far away, it gets smaller. Let's see, I'm looking around my desk for something tiny. So, if I hold this paper clip, if I hold it up to our camera, hello, it gets really big. It takes up the whole screen. But if I move it away, oh, it's getting so small. So stuff that's close to you is big, and stuff far away gets smaller, and it shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. So, no matter what you're putting in your landscape, it might be houses, people, dogs, cars, roads, flowers, bushes, trees, whatever you're putting on your landscape, it's got to be big, closest to us or towards the bottom, and then as you go back on these hills, they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. That way, if you looked at it while it was sticking up, stuff that is closest to us is big, and stuff that is farther away is small. A couple different ways you can do this. You can draw directly on your hills if you want to. I've got some Sharpies out. You can use those, or you can use your markers. You could also cut up some white paper. I'm going to leave some scrap paper up. You could cut up your paper and glue your things down. If you would like to do houses like I have done, I have a little cheat sheet of some house styles and some doors and some windows that you can use. Alright, my friends, that's our lesson for the day. I'm so excited to see what you're going to create. Bye!